I mean, I said this was going to be the easiest championship he's won since Oklahoma City, and I was pretty much right. I mean, did no one like? Were you ever worried that they were going to lose? Like
Mm,
Not at all.
Butler had to. I wasn't hearing you guys talk about this, but like Jimmy Butler had to play like out of his mind, but also he scored 40 points. But it was when you watch the game, it was the hardest looking 40 points I ever seen. Like if you watch LeBron score 40 points, sometimes you're like, oh, he has 40. You know what I mean? Like you're like, whoa, that's crazy. You knew Jimmy Butler got 40 because he was working hard for every single point to the effect of, nah, he can't survive doing this all, for a 7 game series for a championship because like he not built that way. Like he built different, but like he not built like LeBron different. You know what I mean? Like you can like see a Jimmy Butler. Like you're like you see Jimmy Butler play, you're like, oh yeah, he's solid, he good, whatever it is. But you see like people like LeBron play or like Dame or whatever it is, and you're just or Steph Curry, you're just like, oh, you got 40 without trying. Like when Jimmy Butler scores, he trying. You know, he working hard because he can't shoot a three, so he working extra hard because he in mid range turnarounds and getting or and ones, all kind of stuff. I'm just like, man, he about to get hurt. Like, but he built so dense that he won't get hurt. He built like a running back. To tell you the truth, like he won't get hurt. But it's it's it was an easy prediction finals. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Um, people who this changed no one's mind about if LeBron James is the GOAT. This championship made no one go, no, he's better than Jordan. Like this championship, if you're like an objective thinker, this wasn't like a legacy changing championship. This wasn't like a shift in like the paradox of like in NBA history. This was another championship because like it's his fourth championship. The difference between a third championship and a fourth championship is not that big of a difference. He played the Miami Heat, whose best player was Jimmy Butler, who they probably wouldn't have made this far if they weren't in the bubble. You know what I mean? But they have like a really hard working team. So like this was like an adequate environment for them specifically, like we mentioned a couple weeks ago. And I'm just like, you know, this NBA championship didn't change anything, which kind of sounds bad, but in my mind at least, I may be wrong, but I don't think it changed anything.
so I'll say it it didn't change anyone's mind. If like you didn't think it was a goat, you're still not gonna think it's a goat. But like at this point, it's also kind of like I think for a lot of people, their minds are kind of made up about it, and like you either think he's the goat or you don't. So in that respect, there's not much of anything he can do to change the minds of the haters because they're just going to hate for the sake of hating at a certain point, and like that point passed a while ago.
Yeah.
Um, that said, though, like it more or less went how, as far as the Heat goes, this went as well as I thought it possibly could in terms of like they pushed it to 6 games. Um, Jimmy Butler played very, very well. Um, like and like he didn't really have a choice. It was either that or they lose, kind of. Like in the 2 wins, like one of them he played as I think about as well as LeBron, and then the other he outplayed LeBron, and like that's it for anybody who's not LeBron. Pretty much, that's basically insane. Nobody does that, right?
Yeah,
Um, So like it certainly isn't something that would change people's opinions about LeBron just because like y'all are on the Lakers. Well he's a Lakers team that has Anthony Davis, a bunch of good role players, and Rondo. Um, and like they did what they were expected to do here, which was win. So it's like it's just kind of like if you're talking about his legacy, like what do you expect? Like, what did you really expect, or like, what did you really expect to happen? Besides that, two of the Heat's better players got hurt in the first game. Granted, Bam came back. Gordon came back in the last game, which I only saw like half of. But like, I don't really know why they played him. I don't he didn't look like he was moving as well as he could move earlier, and so I'm just y'all might have been better off sitting him. But that's neither here nor there, and the game is over. Um, but like, if anything, I think it might have changed some people's opinions of Butler. But like, it didn't change anybody's mind about LeBron. Probably didn't change too many people's minds about AD, other than like now, like because he's got a ring now, we can like entertain him in the discussion of like best bigs of all time or whatever. Because like because like apparently if you don't have a ring, you're not allowed to like no one is allowed to be put in the discussion of for like greatest of all time in any category pretty much without a ring. So
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler raised his stock here, right? Because I don't know, I mentioned it some weeks back that like in my mind before this finals or this playoffs run or whatever, in my mind it was like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Jimmy Butler. But like at this point, you can make it like just literally just from this one playoff run, you can make a definitive argument that like Paul George or Jimmy Butler is above Paul George, right? Like that's not too hard of an argument to make. Like if you want, you know what I mean, you can make an argument for both because like Paul George has been better longer, whatever, right? But like
Gave that like a higher ceiling.
yeah, that's higher ceiling, right? But at the end of the day, Paul George has never taken his team this far by himself, and he had a chance to in Indiana, and he would get destroyed by LeBron,
Yeah.
even with a better team, or arguably just as good of a team. Like Indiana's teams were really good, and they were built to beat the Heat, but that's a whole different discussion. But I've seen this narrative out there that like can we have it, or this is like in Twitter world, right? So is it an actual narrative, or it's like three people saying this? Who knows? But people are like Jimmy Butler over Kawhi Leonard, and I'm just like,
That sounds like a joke.
no, it was dead serious.
No, that sounds like.
I saw a guy. His name was Andrew Schultz, right? Comedian, stand-up comedian, pretty. He listened to Brilliant Idiots, whatever. No, but it wasn't though, because then it was him saying, right? Then if he says I'm like it's a joke, but sometimes he just says things off the wall to get reactions. So then I go into the comments. I just look at the comments like, do people actually believe this nonsense? Yes. People were hopping on this bandwagon like, ooh, you can make an argument, you can do it. And I'm just like, okay. So like I just wanted I wanted to be known, that we on this podcast, I'm not gonna speak for you guys. I'm gonna speak for myself. That is not a narrative that I will ever put out there. A man like Jimmy Butler is nowhere near Kawhi Leonard, right? We are not, like that is a revisionist history. Like you're so in the moment because Kawhi Leonard this year, where he only didn't show up for one game, and he showed up for the whole entire series. It was his teammates and that were too inconsistent. You know what I mean? But Jimmy Butler definitely raised his stock in this finals, this playoff run. Really, he raised his stock to possibly be a top 5 shooting guard, small forward in the NBA. He's like in tweener, right? Because you can't be a shooting guard.
He's a wing.
He got the size.
He's a wing.
So you can't be a shooting guard and not shoot three. But he's especially in the league in 2020. Come on now. But he's like top.
As long as his shots go down.
But he's like top 5. But no, he's not going to ever be the best player at his position in the NBA. No way. But he did raise it higher, in my mind at least, to me, because he had to prove himself to me, and him just taking this Heat team to the finals proved it to me, honestly.
Like, in fairness, I feel like it's worth mentioning. I think he spent, like, prior to Dragic and Bam getting hurt, he spent a lot of time trying, I guess, more or less be the facilitator of the team. Like, he not scoring that much, but, like, moving the ball around and whatever. But I will say, though, that like, he does have that, like...
Yourself.
Paul...
Philip, mute yourself while you're eating, bro.
Oh, my
that,
bad.
that he does have that like Kawhi doesn't see that I'm not sure I don't think Kawhi has and that Paul George certainly doesn't have is like it like even if we're just using like this series and like maybe the series before he can functionally will a win into existence. Like he had 2 games that like they won more or less off of the sheer force of will that is Jimmy Butler, and basically nothing else. Granted, of course, his teammates help. Like you can't. I don't care who you are. If your entire team disappears, you're not winning anything. Um, but like when you need to be like, we need a win. We need to pull it out of our asses. The dude you go to is Jimmy Butler, if assuming you don't have LeBron James.
Yeah. I remember we had our list of guys you think could win you a game. I gotta add Jimmy Butler to the list.
Who was on that list in the first place?
It was like LeBron. It was like the
Kawhi,
superstars.
Oh,
I
okay,
think
yeah.
we had Giannis.
Dame.
But I think
Maybe.
not all, hold on, but not all superstars can win you games. Not all superstars can win you games in the NBA. Like they'll contribute to games, highly contribute, but they won't win you games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like in the like small tier of like superstars going against each other, like there's ones that's like, no, I'll win this game easier and better than you'll win this game against us. So
Yeah.
like Jimmy Butler win you a game, but against LeBron, he'll win you a game, but he won't win you a series. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
I mean,
That was
he
their
got them
thing.
two
It's like
games. He
one
got
game.
them 2 games, but yeah.
He got them two games. One of the 2 games broke his body down. You watched the last game. You know what I mean?
Oh, he
Like,
was exhausted. He had to be
yeah,
like,
those 2 games broke him down. Dame will win you a game. Dame will win you Dame will win you a first round playoff series. Like past the first round, he not really winning you anything. Kawhi will win you a championship. LeBron will win you a championship. Giannis,
I mean,
yeah, he's been just kind of a disappointment. But Jimmy Butler is up in that. He is up in that tier now. The Miami Heat is a free agent destination now. Now they can't just take them all. They can't just take all the free agents and be like, oh, we're gonna do something fun or something good. But like Pat Riley is too smart to like do something like that. You know what I mean? Pat Riley's just a really, really, really good GM. So like, how old is Jimmy Butler? 31. Yeah, Jimmy Butler got like 3 or 4 years left. Yeah, Jimmy Butler got like 3 or 4 years left because like he don't have the skill to like he has like skill. He's skilled, obviously, but he don't have the skill to like get into like his 36s and 37s and 35s and be killing like this. You know what I mean? Like in basketball time, he always has been a work hard, and a workhorse, whatever term you want to use. Yeah, he got like a 3 4 year window, and Pat Riley better take advantage of it right now because that Doc Rivers move was critical. It's critical because how awful Brett Brown was.